Greetings, I am Tantus Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It's time to get into my second episode of the anime BESM combo. Today I'm going to bring up 3 more anime that I have been watching and I enjoy, that I will then talk about BESM World versions of them. So let's start. Today I'm going to talk about Space Police Luluco, ReZero, and Sailor Moon Crystal, the 3rd season. I'll start with Sailor Moon because it's the first one I mentioned. Now Sailor Moon Crystal, it's the 3rd season. It is a retelling of the 3rd season of the anime, the original one, but it's actually based more along the original manga. So it actually is more linked to what the manga did, rather than the actual anime season. Now it is again much shorter than the 3rd season of the original anime. Now if you don't know about Sailor Moon, you're probably going to know about it for most people that know about anime. I watched it along with Dragon Ball, back in the day, Dragon Ball Z. I watched both of those. I watched any anime I could get back in my day. And in fact, I enjoyed this. I did read the manga. I have so many genres I've enjoyed. From horror to magical girl to action to sports, I have found animes that I enjoy. And this was one of them that I do enjoy. It does have some nostalgia from back in the day. Now, Tsukino Usagi, or Usagi-chan, she's the main character. She's Sailor Moon. She's going to be the one you're going to look at. And they have all the classic scouts. And this brings in the outer scouts. They're all based around planets of the solar system. Anyway, so I can go on about a lot about what this anime has, but this season is actually good. They've gone away through some of the 3D models for transformations into a more traditional 2D model for the transformations from the previous 2 seasons, and it is much better. The storyline is as good as it has always been. The manga was actually, I think, a little better of a storyline than the original anime. It doesn't have a lot of that monster of the week kind of feel. Every episode puts the plot forward. Now, what genres would this be? Well, of course it's going to be magical girl. You think it's not going to be? It is. Of course it's going to have romance. There's always been this romantic subplot between Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask. It's still there. It always has been there. Their future kid is there. Yes, their kid from the future is there with them, Sailor Chibi Moon. So, I mean, if you're talking about that, it exists. It's a proving fact that they have this sort of romance to them. A little bit of strange sci-fi magical elements to it too, with time traveling. But that's not the other word I was going to use for this one. I was going to use action. Because they do have a lot of action in the series. I mean, they're fighting a lot of monsters, using their powers. Their powers are very interesting. I mean, they do have a good variety of powers that they kind of randomly use. Things like that. So I rate this one a 5. This is one of my top list ones. I try to watch this right away. I enjoy it a lot. That's what I do. And it's like, again, I had a lot of the subbed episodes I had gotten back in the day. There was a lot of animes I got subbed on VHS, and this was one of the ones I got. Confession time. It's one of the ones I was into. So the next one I talk about is ReZero. I will not try to pronounce its subtitle because I am bad at it, but ReZero. It's going to be RE:0. The entire plot of this one is a man, Subaru. He goes out, he goes to the convenience store, he comes back, and he basically gets hit by a car and dies. Finds himself in a fantasy world where he keeps reliving various days, that he basically goes on a Groundhog Day adventure repeatedly, where he dies at the end, and then he comes back to the beginning, trying to get right these different days. And so far in the series, I will mention that he's gotten past the first day, and he's finishing up the second day, even now as the anime goes on. I have not watched this week's episode yet. I haven't been able to, so I'm not sure if he finishes it up. It just came out. So we'll see if he finishes up the second day, and how many episodes the series has, to see if they get more than 2 days for this season. But anyway, digressing too much. So he's basically a hikikomori/gamer. He lives at home. He doesn't come out a lot. He goes out to like the convenience store. He doesn't do a lot. But he does work out. So he's not like a total wuss when it comes to fights. You know, he does do a little bit of workout. He goes to those workout things with the old people in the morning, which is kind of unusual for him. But, you know, he has them. So this anime, sort of now that we have an idea of how it works, it is a very good anime. I would recommend it. Granted, it's not the top of my list. I only rate this one a 4. I'm telling that now. Well, I'm kind of gushing it about a little bit. But it is, it's not that high because it sort of sometimes is defeatist. Because it's like, he gets through really horrible sort of like bad ends sometimes. And it's like, ooh. And that sort of shies me away from watching it first thing a lot of times. Yes, it's strange. There's some times where I can like live a lot with horrible blood and guts, and then there's other times where I'm like, context. Context. And this one, the context kind of gets me a little bit, but I usually can get through it pretty well and enjoy what it is. So it's a fantasy sort of magical world, first off, because that's where he gets transported to. So that's the big thing that you're going to have is fantasy, that he continually relives his life and the bad things that happen to it. Now it's an action-adventure. There's a lot of combat. There's magic spells, sword play, weapon fighting, and it happens pretty much in every episode. There's some kind of fighting going on. Granted, it's sort of like, might be related to why he's dying, it might be related to something that's going on, to something he runs into, all these sort of things. And then there's this sort of harem aspect to it, but it's not the same kind of way you think about it. That he's got all these girls around him, all these women that he kind of respects and treats nicely. And the thing is, he really is only going after one of them, the main girl that he sort of discovers first thing. But he also wants to treat all these other women that he sort of meets very nicely, and it sort of ends up being that he wants the best for all of them, that he wants the sort of best outcome to arrive. So it's sort of this thing that they all kind of enjoy him, but it's more like that they don't really know him either, because they're never really introduced. They just find that he's a very nice guy, trying to do the best for him when they don't even know why. And the last one I want to talk about is Space Patrol Luluco. Now this takes place in a city in Japan where like aliens and immigration from space has occurred, and so it's a very unusual city, Okikupu. It's a very, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong because my earlier writings, so I apologize if I've gotten that a little bad with my pronunciation. But anyway, so this city here, and of course we have Luluco, who is living in it. She's living with her father. Her father is a member of the Space Patrol who kind of keep things in order. So things go bad with her father in the first episode, and he basically gets frozen, and she takes him to the Space Patrol, and she gets recruited because they don't have the money in the small office there, and so she's got to work as Space Patrol, which she doesn't want to do because she wants to be a normal girl. Unfortunately, oh wait, she can't be. So she's got to work in Space Patrol to pay for it. And it's kind of very kind of comic, very fun. She gets a partner who she likes, but he's kind of weird and has like no emotion. There's another alien girl that she was sort of friends with who ends up becoming a member of Space Patrol because it's dad or get in trouble with them. And they all sort of have this ability to sort of transform into weapons when they go into their Space Patrol outfit, which is really weird. It's a very unusual anime, but kind of sort of comedic. So that's where I'm getting into the genres for it. I would come in as a sort of sci-fi, because it definitely is. It's got aliens and, you know, guns and space ships and all that kind of stuff. It's a comedy. It has a lot of like weird kind of humor to it. It is a little bit of a romance because Luluco has this entire thing of having the crush on her partner, and you're going back and forth that he doesn't care at all, and she's always crushing on him and trying to like do stuff with him, and then the other other girl that becomes a troll member also kind of likes him, and there's a kind of rivalry. It's a very interesting anime. It is, again, it's very good. I put it low as a 3 for me. I put it a little lower on my list. It's just because, like, sometimes it's like the humor is a mixed bag for me, but really gets me kind of I really like it a lot, or it's just kind of like, oh, that's kind of funny. And it's when those kind of misses happen and it draws me down a little bit. Though the storyline is very interesting, that there is sort of a kind of ongoing storyline. They kind of break it up into episodes. That's like every 3 of their episodes, since it is a shorter anime. I forgot to mention that. It's about 11 minutes an episode that they show. So it's about 3 of those, making one normal episode of the actual anime becomes one of their episodes. Yes. Anyway, so those are the 3 animes I was reviewing. On the next one, which is going to come out right after that, I'll talk about adapting them to your BESM worlds and your BESM games. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Please comment if you have anything to ask about, anything to say about this. Please subscribe if you already haven't. We're always looking for more citizens. Share this video if you think there's anybody that might enjoy it or might learn something from this. Find an anime they might want to watch. And until the next time, I bid you farewell.